Welcome to Excel tutorial. Today I'll teach you how I have created my annual budget template in Excel. So this annual budget template is a multi-tab spreadsheet. So it comes with many tabs. So with the help of this annual budget template, you'll be able to track your complete finances for the entire year. So you can track your expenses, bills, savings, and many more. I'll first show you how this annual template is going to look like. So I'll show you how the dashboard and the graphs will look like, and then I'll also teach you from scratch. Here is how my annual budget template will look like. So you can see the complete dashboard over here. So I have the required graphs at the top, and then here I have the goal, what I need to accomplish in that particular year. So then I have the complete cash flow month by month graph over here, and then I have the graph for month by month, like for income, savings, and then for bills, expenses, and for debt. So here I have the planned and actual value for all these tables as well. So I'll teach you from scratch how you can actually create annual budget templates like this. Let's get started. I've opened a new Excel workbook. Here I'll first go and name the sheet as input data. So in the input data, we'll have the required categories and the subcategories. So I'll first try to merge and center this one, and then I'll have the title as input data over here. So I'll do the formatting for this, and then I'll make this bold, and I'll go and try to fill this with a theme color. So here below this, I'll have all the important titles, like I'll have the income, then I'll have the savings. So next I'm going to have my bills, and then my expenses, and at last I'll have my debt. So all these are going to be the categories. So I'll try to highlight this. I'll increase the size, and also I'll fill this with this color. So I'll a little bit try to adjust all these columns. So below the income, I can just have what all incomes I'm going to have. Let's say I'm going to have a main job, and then let's say there can be some freelance income, and then we can have some rental income. So all these are some of the incomes for me. So next I'll come to the savings, and then I'll say what all savings I'm going to do. So I'll say some general savings, and then let's say I'm going to do a saving for my wedding, and I'll have mutual funds. So next I'll go and list out all my bills. So let's say I'll have a Wi-Fi bill, and then let's have the electricity bill, and then we can have our gas bill. So all these bills we can just list down as a subcategory. Next I'll have my expenses. So let's say like food, and then shopping, and let's say if you're going for dinner, so all these expenses are listed over here. So last is going to be my debt. So I'll have the credit card, and then let me say student loan. So these are my debts. So I have listed down all my income, savings, bills, expenses, and debts over here. So these are the main category, and all these below whatever we have. So these are the subcategories. So next I'll go and create another sheet. So I'll call this as transactions. So I'll have the title. So I'll completely select this. I'll say merge center. So here I'll have transactions. I'll little bit increase the size of this, and then make this bold, and also I'll fill this with the color. So in the transactions, we'll have a table to list down all our transactions. So I'll have date, value, and then what category it is going to belong to. And next I'll have the subcategory. And at last I'll have any other details. If you want, we can just enter it. So I'll adjust the width of these columns. So I'll completely highlight this, and then I'll fill this with the color, and also make it bold and increase size. So in this transactions table, what we can do is we can list down all our transactions. So which day and what is going to be the value of that particular transaction. So here the category is like income, bills, expense, all these can be our categories. And for example, if we say income, our subcategory can be like main job, or it can be freelance. So whatever we have listed down over here, so these can be my subcategories. So I can list down over here, and then if you want to have any other details, so you can go and enter your transactions here. So now I'll go to the next sheet. So here I'll name the sheet as annual budget. So at the top, I'll try to completely select this, and then I'll say merge center. So here I'll say annual budget tracker, and I'll increase the size of this. I'll make this bold, and also I'll fill this with the color. So below this one, I'll just try to give some space completely for my dashboard over here. And then I'll come down and I'll have the tables over here. So first I'll just try to select these three columns over here completely, and I'll say merge center. So here I'll have the title as income. So below that one, I'll have the planned and the actual value over here. So I'll select this completely. I'll make this bold. I'll increase the size of this, and also I'll have the background color for this. So now here what I need to do is I need to have whatever income subcategories we have entered in the input data sheet. I need to have it over here. So to do that one, I'll be using the if formula. So I'll say is equal to if. I'll open the bracket. So here, if this cell, if there is no value here, so that is the condition. So if there is no value, then there will be no value if the condition is true, or else I'll have the same value. So the whatever is in the cell, I'll try to have it over there. So you can see I'm getting the main job. So whatever we have, I'm getting. So I'll just try to flash fill this formula completely, and then at the last I'll have total. So here I can enter my plan value. Let's say for main job, it's going to be $4,000. For freelance, let's say it's going to be $3,000, and for rental income, it's going to be $2,000. So here I'll say this, and then I'll just try to find the sum of my plan values. And similarly, I'll also try to find the sum of my actual values. So actual values, we'll just fill it in some time. So next, I need to have a complete table, a month by month income table. I need to do it over here. So I'll say merge center over here. And then the title, I'll keep it as income month by month. And below this one, I'll have all the months, January. So like this, I'll just try to flash fill all the months till December, and after that I'll have the total value, and after that I'll have the average value. So I'll completely select this. I'll do the formatting. I'll fill this with this color, and here I'll completely fill this with the same color how I have done for the income over here. So now I'll just try to say is equal to, and then I'll have same main job, whatever is there. I'll have the same categories listed over here, and I'll flash fill, and then I'll just try to fill it over here. And at the last, I'll have the total value. So now we need to try to completely fill this table with the values. So for example, in January month, for my main job, whatever transactions we have in the transaction table, I need to find the sum of that, and then I need to fill it over here. So here, I'll be using the sum of formula. So I'll say is equal to if error. I'll open the brackets, and then I'll say sum ifs. So since there are going to be multiple conditions. So first I'll go and select the sum range. So the sum range is going to be the value. So here I'll completely select the sum range. So I'll give comma and the first criteria range. So let's say the date is going to be the first criteria range. I'll give this, then comma. So here it should be less than or equal to my EO month. Okay, so I'll be using the formula over here. So that's the month formula. So I'll say EO month, and then I'll open the bracket. So I'll go and select the month start date over here. So that is, I'll go to the annual budget. So here I'll select this January month, comma, and I'll give 0. Now I'll close the brackets. Then I'll come to the second condition. So this is going to be start date we are giving. So now the second condition is going to be that it should be within this month, right? So I'll again go to the transactions. So I'll select the date range. So the criteria is going to be this. Then I'll give comma. So it should be greater than or equal to, and I'll give the come and select the month over here. So this is the second criteria, whatever we have given. So the third is going to be, so whatever subcategory we are going to list in the transaction, that should be equal to the main job, right? So because we need to sum up the values wherever it encounters the main job. So I'll go to the transactions. I'll completely select this, and then I'll give comma, and it should be equal to my main job. So here I'll come and select the main job, and then I'll close the brackets. Okay, so and then comma, and I'll give 0. If it is going to encounter an error, so we'll just give 0 value over here. So now when I press enter, so I'll get it as 0. Since we don't have any transactions in a transaction table, That is why the value, whatever we are getting over here is 0. To flash fill this formula, I'll just try to go and do the absolute referencing. Since all the columns like the date range, everything is going to be fixed, right? So the sum range and date range is going to be fixed. So I'll just try to add the dollar symbol before the row and column number over here. And then we'll do the absolute referencing over here. And for the month, you can see only the column numbers are going to change. Like for example, all these will change, but whereas the row number is going to be the same, right? The same row number we had. So before the row number, I'll have the dollar symbol. And again for the date range, so we can have completely, I'll do the absolute referencing. And here again, we have the month. So the month we have, so here for the row number, we'll do the referencing and last, we'll have the main job. That is, we are trying to select whether it's going to be the whatever subcategory. So here, if you see, the column is going to be the same, only the row number is going to change. So I'll fix the column over here. So this is going to be the formula. Now we can try to flash fill this formula. And also I'll format this to US dollars. And I can try to flash fill this formula completely over here. And similarly, down also, I'll be able to completely flash fill this for all the categories over here. So since we don't have any transactions, so that's why I'm just getting 0 value over here. So now let's try to find out the sum of all the values for January. So similarly, I'll just try to flash fill this completely for till December. So here I'll try to find out the sum of all the main job transactions in from like January to December. And here also I can do the flash filling. And at last, we need to find the average value. So here I'll be using the average formula. So is equal to average. I'll open and close the bracket. So I'll completely select the month from January to December. And I'll close the brackets. So here also I'll just try to flash fill this completely. Now we can highlight the last total column. So I'll just try to highlight this with the background color. And also I'll make this bold. So now I have completed for the income. So to fill the actual values, the actual value for the main job is going to be whatever total value we have over here. So I'll select this and then I'll flash fill here. So we'll have the total values over here. So next is I'll come and do for the next table. So the next is we'll do for the savings. So I'll just copy and paste this over here. So I'll have the title as savings. And here I need to have all the subcategory for my savings. So I'll say is equal to if. I'll go to the input data, and if it is going to be equal to no value, so I'll have no values, or else I'll have the same value over here. So similarly, I'll just try to flash fill this over here, and here I'll have the total value. So we can say, let's say the planned value is going to be 1000 for general savings and 500 for wedding and 500 for mutual funds, let's say. So here I'll find the sum of all the planned values. And here we'll try to find the sum of all the actual values. So now I'll come for the month by month savings. So I'll select this, I'll paste it here. So I'll go and name this table to savings month by month. And we can also change the color to a different color. So we can have this color. And then below this one, I need to have all the subcategories. So here I'll say is equal to, and then get this one, the same values, whatever we have. We'll just try to flash fill. And at the last, we'll have the total. So here also we need to like find the sum of all the transactions. So the same formula, we are going to use it. I'll just copy and paste this formula over here. So and then if I check, we can see here it is automatically checking for the general savings. So it is automatically, the referencing is changed. So this is the formula. So I can try to completely flash fill this till December and completely for mutual funds also. So I'll say here is equal to, and let's find the sum of all the values for January month. Similarly, we'll try to find flash fill this till here. So here let's try to find the total for the complete year. So from January to December, I'll completely select this and then I'll find the total values over here. So I'll flash fill. So next I'll find out the average. So is equal to, I'll say average, and I'll open the brackets and I'll completely select it till here. And I'll try to flash fill this completely. And at last, we can highlight the complete total column over here. So this one, I'll just try to highlight and make this bold. And here also, I'll just try to completely highlight this. So let's try to fill the actual value. So it's going to be equal to, so this is going to be the total value. So this value, we'll have it for the actual values over here. So now we have completed for the savings. Next, we'll try to do for bills. Next table. So I'll just copy paste this one. So here I'll say bills, and then let me have the subcategories. I'll try to get the data from the input. So here, if it is going to be equal to no value, I'll have no value, or else I'll just have the same value over here. So I'll try to flash fill this, and then below I'll have the total value. So here I can just have the plan value, let's say 200. So this is also going to be 200 for gas, let's say $100. And then here, let me try to find the sum of all the plan values. And here, the same thing is equal to sum of all the actual values. Now I'll try to copy this and then just make a copy here. And I'll go and change the name to, instead of savings, I'll have bills month by month. And then we'll change the color of the background for this. So here also I'll have the same, all the Wi-Fi categories. So I'll say is equal to the cell, and I'll flash fill, and at last we'll have the total value. So here also we'll be using the same formulas. So I'll just try to copy and then paste this formula over here. And if I check the formula, whether the referencing is done correct, so it is checking for the Wi-Fi. So wherever the subcategory is Wi-Fi, it will try to sum up the transactions value and then give me here. So this the formula is correct. So I'll completely flash fill till December, and for all the categories, I'll try to flash fill. So down, I'll come and I'll try to find the sum for all the January transactions, and like I'll completely flash fill till total. So here, to find the total, we need to find the sum of all the values for like Wi-Fi from January to December. So the same formula we can flash fill, and here at last we need to find the average. So I'll say average, and I'll try to completely flash fill. That is, I'll select the range, and then I'll try to flash fill. So I've given two brackets and select this, and I'll try to flash fill this over. So the last, like we'll try to highlight the total. So I'll just try to highlight this. So here also I'll just try to highlight my total. Now I'll have the actual value. So it's going to be equal to the total, this value, and I'll flash fill this. So next we'll try to do for our expenses. So the next table, I'll create the next table for expenses. So I'll go and change the table name to expenses. And here I'll try to pull all the expenses, whatever I have listed in the input data. So I'll select this. If it is equal to no value, we'll have no value, or else we'll have the same value. And I'll try to flash fill. Here I'll have the total, and let's say the planned value for food is going to be 1,200. For shopping, let's say $1,000. And for dinner, let's say it's going to be $300. And here I'll try to find out the sum of all the planned value. And next I'll try to find the sum of all the actual values over here. Now I'll try to completely copy and paste this here, and then we'll have the, for expenses, a month by month table. So I'll go and change it to expenses month by month, and here I'll have all the subcategories, and below that I'll have the total value. So here I just need to have the formula. So I'll just copy and paste this one and then check the formula. So automatically the food is getting highlighted. So it will check whether the food is there in the subcategory, and I'll try to sum up all the values and then from the transactions, and then it'll give me in the output. So we can just flash fill this, completely till December and for all, like for till dinner. Here I'll try to find the sum of the values for individual months like January, and the same formula we can flash fill it. So the next total is for individual categories. So we'll try to find out the sum, how much I have spent for the food total, like that. I'll do it for the shopping and dinner. So next we need to do the same thing for average. So I'll say is equal to average, and then I'll completely select this, and I'll also flash fill the average value. So at last we can just try to highlight the total, and also we can change the color here. Now for the actual values, I'll say is equal to the total values over here for food, like shopping and dinner. Now we have completed for like 4 tables we have completed. So the last table is, we have the debt table. So I'll just try to go and create that for debt. And here I need to pull all the values. So is equal to if, I'll open the brackets, I'll go to the input data. So if this is going to be equal to no value, so we'll have no value, or else I'll just select this and then I'll close it. I'll just try to flash fill, and then at the last we'll have the total value. Let's say for credit card it's going to be $1,000, and for student loan also let's keep it at $1,000. So at last I'll try to find out the sum of these values, and here we can have the sum of all the actual values. Now we'll have the month by month table for debts. So I'll select this, I'll go and change this title to debt month by month, and here I'll have the subcategories, and here I'll have the formula. So the same formula I'll just copy paste and then just check. So here the credit card is highlighted correctly. So I'll have the same formula flash fill completely for this table. And at last I'll also try to find out the total. So here total, it's equal to sum of all the January transactions, and I'll just try to flash fill this. Here I'll have the total value, so it's going to be equal to sum of the total of my credit card payments from my January to December. Similarly, flash filling for the student loan. So the next is average. So is equal to average, and from January to December, I'll do the average value here. And then I'll just try to highlight this total. And I can also go and change the color of this. Okay, so now you can see I have completed it for all the tables. Like for all the 5 tables, I have completed it for my income, savings, bills, expense, and my debt table. So here one thing is that still the actual value is not pulled. So I'll just try to fill the actual values. And also all these are US dollars. So I'll just try to completely select this, and then I'll have the currency formatting over here for all the plan values. So now I have completed for all the tables. Now let me try to have a table at the top for how my cash flow is for the entire year. So here I'll just select this. So I'll paste this over here. And here I'm going to have the title as cash flow month by month. So I'll take this and have the title cash flow month by month. And first I'll have the income. Then below that one I'll have the savings. Next I'll have my bills and my expenses. And at last I'll have my debt. And finally I'll have how much amount is left in hand. So that also I'll be able to calculate in this table. So here what I'll do is, for example, for January, whatever is going to be my income, so this total value is going to be my income, right? So I'll say is equal to this value. I'll just try to save this cell. And similarly, I'll try to completely flash fill till total. So easily we'll be able to flash fill. Now if I come for savings, so is equal to, in the savings total value is there, right? So that value I'll just select it. And then similarly here, I'll just try to flash fill it. Similarly, I'll do it for my bills. So here is the total. So I'll select this, and then I'll flash fill it completely till total. Now I'll do it for my expenses. So I'll say is equal to, and here I'll select this and I'll completely select till here. So next for my debts, so I'll say is equal to, I'll come to the debt table and then select the total value. So this is going to be the cell and I'll flash fill it completely here. So now I'll come at the last and then I'll also highlight the left. So here the left value is nothing but how much value we are trying to have in hand. So it's nothing but whatever income I have. So on other like the savings, bills, expense, debt, all these are some of my spendings, right? So I'll just have the income subtracted by all these spendings. So I'll say is equal to my income subtracted by the savings, subtracted by the bills, subtracted by the expenses, subtracted by the debt. So this is going to be the formula I have the left value. So this value, I'll just try to flash fill it completely. So here you can see we'll have the complete how much amount is left in hand. So once we have the transaction table filled, we'll have the complete how much amount is left in hand. We'll be easily able to calculate it over here. So now I'll go to the top on a dashboard. So here I'll just try to completely select these cells. So I'll say merge. So here I'll say year, and then below I'll completely select this. So I'll merge center, and here I'll have the year. So I'll just try to format this, increase the size of this one. I'll make this bold, and also I'll fill this with the color. And I'll select this and I'll add borders for this. So below this one, I'll just select this completely and I'll say merge center. So here I'm just trying to go and enter all my goals, whatever like financial goals I have for this particular year. So I'll say this. I'll also fill this with the color and make this bold, increase the size. So below this one, I'll completely select this till here and I'll say merge across. So I'll just merge across horizontally. Here I can enter my goals. So let's say I want to like clear all my debts this year. So I can enter that as a goal. I want to increase my savings. So that can be a goal. So let's say I'm going to enter like increase my savings by 10%. So this can be one of my goals. So like this, you can list down all your financial goals for the year 2025 in this particular table. So I'll also have the borders for this one. Next is I'm going to have the planned and actual values for all the tables for the complete year at the top. So I'll completely select this and then I'll merge and center. So here I'll say income and here I'll have the planned value and after that I'll have the actual value. So from Jan to December, I'll just try to flash fill it completely here and at last I'll have the total. So now this one, I'll just try to make this bold, increase the size, and I'll do the formatting. And for the total also, I'll highlight this. So here the planned value, we can just try to enter the planned value. I'll go and enter the planned value. So let me say it's going to be 3000 and for next month, it's going to be 3000. So here, let's say 1500 and 1500. So at the bottom, I'll try to find out the sum of all the planned values. So now if I come for the actual values, so the actual values are nothing but these are the actual values. So from January to December, we have the actual values, right? So you can see these are also the actual values. Same values only we have tried to keep it here also. So these are some of the actual values. So now if I want to have these values, I can just completely copy these values. And then here I can say, I'll say paste special and then I'll just transpose this one. So this is completely horizontal. I'll completely paste it as a column wise over here. So I'll paste this and also I'll do the formatting over here. So this is the table for the income. Next, let me try to do the table for my savings. So here I'll say savings and then from January to December, we'll have it. So I'll just try to paste this. I'll increase the width of this column. So here the plan value for my savings, I'll try to enter it. So let's say we'll have $600, then next one 600 and 800 like this we can just have. And at the last, I'll have the total. So here it's going to be sum of the complete plan values. I'll select this. And then the actual values. So here we have the savings, right? So I'll completely select this one. I'll copy it and I'll just try to paste special. I'll just transpose and then paste this values. So here I can highlight this. I'll make this bold and then I'll highlight this. So here you can just try to go and change the color to a different color. We can keep it. So I'll similarly do for all the other 3 tables as well. So now you can see I've completed for all the 5 tables. So for my income, savings, bills, expense and debt. So I'll just try to go and format everything into US dollars over here. So all the plan values. So now you can see I have all the important tables at the top. So now let's try to come and do the graphs for these tables. So first I'll try to create a graph for my income. So I'll completely select the income, all the plan versus actual. And then I'll go to insert and here let me try to create a 2D column chart over here. So I'll a little bit reduce the size and then I'll just try to place this just above the income. And I'll have the chart title as income plan versus actual. So, and I'll go and change the color of this to our theme colors. And for the actual also, I'll just try to go and change the color. So now you can see the how income is planned versus actual values with the help of this graph. Similarly, we can try to do for the savings. I'll select the savings. I'll go and create the graph for savings. I'll try to reduce the size. And then I'll keep it above the savings. And I'll have the chart as savings plan versus actual. And I can go and change the color theme over here. So next for bills, I'll do it. So you can even create some other charts if you want, like the area charts you can create. So there's like an area chart I'm creating for the bills. So I'll a little bit reduce the size of this. I'll keep it here and name the chart title as bills plan versus actual. And I can go and change the color for this one according to our theme color. So next I'll do it for my expenses. So I'll select it. I'll go insert a. I'll have a column chart for this. And I'll have the chart here and I'll rename the title to expenses planned versus actual. And I'll also change the color. So I'll create the last graph for my debt. So I'll completely select this. I'll go to insert and then we can even have a 2D bar graph like this. A little bit reduce the size of this. And then I'll keep it here. So I'll name this as debt plan versus action. And I can go and change the color thing. So now you can see I have completely created the graph for all the 5 important parameters. So first, how we have created this complete tracker is that we created the input data sheet where we try to enter all the important categories and the subcategories. Then we created the transaction sheet. So in this one, we can try to enter all our transactions. Next, in the annual budget sheet, so this is the complete sheet where you'll be able to manage your annual budget. So here we have the complete month by month and then the plan versus actual for the income, savings, bills, expense and debt. So at the top, we also created the complete cash flow for the entire year and then the plan versus actual tables for all the 5 important categories, and at the top, we also have the important graphs for that. So I hope you would have understood how to create annual budget tracker in Excel. So this annual budget tracker is actually a multi-tab spreadsheet. So the advanced version of this complete annual budget tracker is available So I have given the link in the description. You can just try to go and download the complete annual budget tracker spreadsheet from there. Also, I've created multiple spreadsheets to track your personal finance, like net worth tracker, sinking funds tracker, bill calendar, and many more. If you wish to come and use these kinds of sheets, you can visit my website plrduck.com and then download it from there. All these spreadsheets are available for both Excel and Google Sheets. So one more biggest advantage about this is that all these sheets comes with master resale rights and commercial rights, where you can try to edit these templates as per your wish and then share it with as many people you like. I hope you would have liked this video. Please do like and subscribe my channel for more such content. Thanks for watching this tutorial. I'll see you in another Excel or Google Sheet tutorial.